personal care, we know what we're talking about. Matt Gibbs in the guys over at Sunrise Automotive will treat you right. Will treat you right.
They treat you right. And you know how I know that? Because they treat me right. Matt Gibbs is in the studio, and he, of course, is the host of this segment called Auto Repair with Personal Care. Matt is the owner of Sunrise Automotive, which is where I get my car serviced. I don't want to say repaired because I don't need any repairs, knock on wood, because Matt sold me a good car. And where? Over at the same place, at Crossroad Auto Sales. So if you have a question about cars, or you just want to talk car talk, Motor Trend stuff, this is a good time to call. Matt, 622-9622. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Larry.
God, we saw a lot of cars at the Strawberry Festival.
I bet you did.
Were you there?
No.
Did you? I mean, these old cars, I mean, they don't look old at all. They look beautiful. The finish, gosh, they look so nice. Sometimes they look better than like the new cars.
Yeah, that's because of the owners of those cars.
That's true.
And folks take it serious. That's a serious thing.
I'm always worried, though, that they're going to drive away and, you know, somebody's going to ding it or something like that. Oh, gosh. Can I tell you about an accident I saw?
Okay.
Because I have a question about this. I didn't see it. Let me take that back. In case you're a police officer, I heard it. That's the truth, too. I shouldn't have said it's seen. Robin and I were setting up for First Friday Art Walk this past Friday. And we heard a bang. I said, oh, man, somebody hit somebody. And it was in the parking lot across the street, but you couldn't see it really because there were cars in the way.
Right.
A parked truck, a pickup truck, big red pickup truck, got hit in the back by somebody just looking for a parking space. How do you do that? So the guys who were the artists there, they had actually seen it, and they were the ones who gave the police the report. But it pushed the truck up on the curb and up against the palm tree.
Wow.
And so one of our regular listeners, Joe Niles, he came by and I asked him, would that hurt the transmission? He didn't think it would. So, no? How come?
It just wouldn't.
I thought if you pushed a vehicle in park, you could ruin the transmission.
No, well, because when you have it in park, it's called your parking pawl is engaged.
You're parking what?
Pawl.
Like a dog's paw?
No, like a pawl, like a P-A-U-L, pawl. It's called parking pawl.
Parking paw.
That's what they call that.
I never heard
device.
that before.
So basically, when you have it in park, it'll just scoot. The tires will scoot across. Now, if you drag it down the road, it may break the actual device inside the transmission. That back years ago, I'm gonna tell you a story I shouldn't probably tell you. But we're going to do it anyway, because this is back in the early '80s. Back in the '80s, when General Motors came out with a overdrive transmission, it was called a 700 R4, and they were having some issues inside the valve body of the transmissions. And what would happen is that pieces of debris would get trapped in the valve body, and then it wouldn't shift right. So what we did was okay, here you go. You actually drive down the road,
right?
And you're going 30, 40, 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You just throw it in park.
Oh, no.
And that parking pawl would just make it would make this atrocious noise. But what it did was it caused a vibration inside the transmission that would break the debris loose. And it would and then the valves in the valve body would unstick, and it would shift fine. But it wouldn't break anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And did the tires stop rolling? I mean, were you skidding?
No. It would overcome. There was too much force for the parking pawl to engage. The parking pawl is like there's a gear and it's got a notch in it. And so the parking pawl is another piece of metal. When you put it in park, you ever notice like sometimes your car moves a few inches? When you put it in park, it might roll back.
Right.
Well, because what happens is that gear has to line up with this lever.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
So I have a question.
Okay.
In order to do that, you had to go past the R.
Yeah.
So had you stopped at the R, the reverse, what would have happened then?
It probably would have just like neutralized. You ever take a ceiling fan like you got an electric ceiling fan out here.
Yeah.
You know, with remote control. I mean.
Yeah.
And you have, you know, the one direction you're supposed to run when it's hot, and then the other direction when it's cold.
Right.
You hit the button. What happens to the fan? It doesn't freak out and smoke, and it'll slow down, and then it'll start going the opposite.
So if
direction.
I'm driving down the road and I put my car in reverse, I'm just going to slow down and start going backwards?
Well, what you're going to do is you're gonna create all kinds of weird things inside your transmission.
I'm going to be calling you, aren't I?
Well, you might call me.
Matt, I think I did something
I
crazy.
was driving down the road and went in reverse. Well, Larry, why'd you do that? Well, I heard on this show. Don't do that. But when we would throw it in park, we just went right beyond reverse. So, you know,
I know, but I'm just wondering what would happen if you stopped at reverse.
Some transmissions, Chrysler, the older Dodge transmissions, Chrysler transmissions, especially like in trucks, we used to. I'm not going to say I've done this, and I have not done it. First of all, let me say I have never done this in a customer's car.
Okay.
This was just us when we were teenagers, and we were being stupid. On Chrysler transmissions, you don't go fast, about 15 miles an hour, and then throw that in reverse, and the whole car would start hopping and jumping, and then you just floor the accelerator, and it would smoke, and we would cut the wheel a certain way and make sixes. You know, you ever heard the expression, let's do a donut?
Yeah.
Well, we would kind of do like this donut in reverse going forward.
Oh, man.
It's kind of like moonwalking with Michael Jackson.
But, the crazy things you did as a teenager actually taught you something that you used later on in your work.
Well, actually, to be honest with you, General Motors came out with a TSB and said if you have a vehicle with this transmission experiencing these things and it has maybe this code stored in the computer, try this first and see if it changes. That's where we got the idea.
And the thing they told you to try was
drive at a certain speed.
No way.
Put in park, and see if it corrected the problem. If it corrected the problem, then we knew that we had debris inside the transmission fluid and we had to flush it.
My goodness. I would definitely ask you to do it. I'd watch. We go to some big field somewhere, an old airport or something.
We didn't go to a customer and say, "Hey, I need to test drive your truck and go throw it in park at 45 miles an hour." You know, we just did what we were told to do.
So how does the debris get in there?
It's what it is. It's anything. Like for instance, if you service a transmission, a lot of transmissions when they come in and they want them serviced, we drop the pan and we're going to replace the filter and whatnot. But there's actually a magnet in the bottom of the pan, and what happens is you know everything in there is aluminum. There's steel, there's friction, there's heat, there's stuff moving. So there's little shreds of metal that will come loose, and then it'll go to the bottom of the pan and stick to the magnet.
Okay.
So. But
aluminum wouldn't stick to a magnet.
No, aluminum doesn't stick to a magnet, but aluminum gets to float around, and that's typically where we were having problems.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so that's the debris is the aluminum.
Right. It could be aluminum. It could have been a piece of clutch material off one of the clutches in the transmission.
Wow.
Could have been a piece of Teflon off one of the lip seals in the transmission. It could have been a number of things, but back in the 80s, that was GM's weak link. Was that transmission?
I think we should all just get a new car every year. That would solve so many problems.
No.
Oh, why?
It wouldn't solve none of my problems.
Why? You get a new car?
If everybody gets a new car every year, well, I'm out of business.
Oh, that's true. Sorry, I didn't think about that.
Thought you loved me, Larry.
That's true. I forgot about that part of it. That's true.
It's amazing how the cars today, how they're going so much further. I mean, they're getting so many more miles on them, and they're able to extend their life.
So I was worried when that guy came back, because the guy eventually came back to his truck, and he was like, "What the heck happened?" You could tell he was wondering, and he walked across the street and he asked the artists, and they told him. So then he called the police, and so the person that hit him left? Yeah.
Oh, that's wrong right there.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a little break. Be right back. If you have a question for Matt about your car, 622-9622. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. There is a high risk of rip currents at the beaches throughout the midweek period. Tuesday will be nice with sunshine and some clouds and a gusty breeze along the coast, the high 77 to 81. Partly cloudy Tuesday night, lows ranging from the mid and upper 50s inland to about the mid 60s along the coast. Wednesday and Thursday, times of clouds and sun and breezy. The high Wednesday 80 to 84, Thursday's high 82 to 86. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Enjoy a cookout with the chef as part of the Appleton Museum's Artful Dining fundraising series on Saturday, March 12th from 1 till 3 p.m. Enjoy Ocala's fine spring weather and mocktails at an afternoon cookout at Ocala Fire Department headquarters at Tuscaloosa Park. Featured artwork includes pottery by Rudolph Clay Studio and mixed media work by Dustin Goolsby. Tickets are $55 for Appleton members and $65 for non-members. Call 352-291-4455, extension 1834, or visit appletonmuseum.org.
Keep up with what's going on in the downtown area with Ocala Downtown Newspaper. Delivering thousands of newspapers to businesses in the downtown area, Ocala Downtown is there to keep you informed. They even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online. Ocala's Got Talent, happening in May, but if you want to get in on the running, you need to apply. The dates are March 12th, 19th, and 26th from 10 to 6 p.m. each day, and the location is at Mojo's on Southwest 17th Street. Do you have what it takes to shine and stand out in what you do? Well, there's only one first place winner for Ocala's Got Talent, and it could be you. Audition fee is just $25, and spectator fee is helps the Heart of Florida Youth Ranch. Questions, call 352-595-7100.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Most couples get ring tattoos after the wedding ceremony, not for the engagement, which is smart considering 25% of all engaged couples, they never make it to the altar. Taking breaks help boost our mood and makes us more creative and productive. When a woman feels threatened, she tends to touch the front of her neck or play with her necklace because it's an area that's physically vulnerable. For men, their towel is fidgeting with their tie.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Putting the local back into radio. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. WOCA News. Variety. Information. Now. Keep your arms and legs on the inside at all times.
Visit the WOCA website at www.woca.com. The most trusted name in news, Fox News, every half hour, only on 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
18 minutes after 10 o'clock, Matt Gibbs is here. This is Auto Repair with Personal Care. If you have a question about your car, you're invited to call 622-9622. So we went to the Strawberry Festival, and today is the International Women's Day. Did you know that?
International Women's Day?
International Women's Day, something like that. And we saw this Jeep, and the Jeep had eyelashes, pink eyelashes on the headlights. Have you seen this?
Yeah, well, I have seen them, yes.
Yep. And on the back of the Jeep, it said, "Silly boys, Jeeps are for chicks," or something like that. So Jeeps, do you see a gender, do you see a car and say that's a girl's car? I mean, do you know right away because a guy wouldn't own that?
Well, I wouldn't.
Like a Sebring, would that be like a girl's car? Is that why you didn't want me to have that car?
Larry, you're driving around in a girl car. There are some cars.
Volkswagen Bugs, those are girls' cars, aren't they?
Yeah, like Bugs and Jettas, convertible Jettas. You'd see more women in those cars than you do guys, probably. But and then on the flip side of it, there might be a car that can go either way.
Either way, it's one of those cars.
But the color of the car, a lot of times, will determine whether it's male or female driving it too. So
like, what would be a great male car?
Well, I mean, when you say a male car, I'm thinking Hummer.
A Hummer.
A Hummer.
Okay, so if you have a Hummer, right? Nice black Hummer.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And you painted pink. I think the Hummer company should call that the Jenner. They should change it.
No.
That should be the brand.
I ain't driving around in no Jenner car.
No, you wouldn't. But you know,
I drive around in a pink car, but I ain't gonna call it no Jenner car.
But it used to be. It used to be.
It used to be a manly car.
Yeah. Now it's a Jenner. Doesn't it sound like the name of a car? The Toyota Jenner, right? Or the Chevy Jenner. Can't you see that as the name of a car?
Yeah. Not in this context, though.
Good morning. You're on there with Matt.
Good morning, Larry. Okay, say, Matt, I got a question. I've always wondered now, like with NASCAR or IndyCar, what kind of oil do they use in those engines? And is it a synthetic oil? Is it a straight weight, like a 40 weight, or what do they do?
You know, for me to honestly say they use Quaker State, straight 40 weight, I don't really know. I do know this, that all the different teams, and it all comes down to this. If you got Penske out there running in an IndyCar series, I would hope to think that they're going to run Pennzoil in their, in their engines.
Yeah.
If you got someone being sponsored by Quaker State, you would think, well, I'm hoping that they're going to be using Quaker State oil or Castrol or whatever. So, when it really comes down to it, I don't think that NASCAR says you have to use this oil in your car. I don't think there's any rule against that. There is rules with fuel, but I don't believe there is with oil. So I think that each one of the companies, they do their own research and developments, and they do their studies, and they have their motor shops, and I think that they use what's best for their team.
Can you get a higher weight than 40 for a race car that runs with extreme high temperatures?
Oh, you can get whatever kind of weight you want. I don't think you'd want to do that. I know that when we raced, when we raced in the karting series and our engines run on alcohol, we use an oil that was completely synthetic. It was about $40 a gallon for the oil that we used in our kart motors that ran on alcohol, and it was super thin. But.
Wow.
It was called Thor oil, and it was for alcohol running engines.
Yeah. How long has synthetic oil been around?
Oh wow. I'm trying to think. You know how it's only been around for a few years.
Yeah,
and
right.
You think back, it's been 15 years.
Yeah.
But it's probably been around for 20 years.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
By the way, today is International Women's Day, Matt, and we have a segment coming up after yours, inventions by women that changed the world. And did you know that a woman invented the automobile heater?
No, I did not know that.
That's what it says here. And let me see, what do I need to do? Okay, let me see this. Okay, let me read it to you. I'll tell you her name. She is, and it shows an old car here, so it must have been, the car heater must have been way back. The first car heater which directed air over the engine to warm the chilly toes of aristocratic 19th century motorists was invented by Margaret A. Wilcox in 1893.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty cool. She also invented, by the way, something we don't have, a combined clothing and dishwasher. Nobody ever actually manufactured that thing, though. Put your clothes and your dishes into the same machine, and they all come out clean. Got ketchup stains on your white shirt, but...
That's actually pretty brilliant right there.
You would think so.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't need a washing machine and a dishwasher.
Yeah.
But
the heater, it seems like that was... I mean, can you imagine driving... the car they're showing isn't even enclosed, so they must have had heat just coming into the seating area.
Or just like it's probably blowing on your feet, down underneath the dash.
That's what it says. It directed air over the engine and that's still the way heaters work today, right? The heat comes from the engine.
Well, yes, but the heat comes from the coolant side. If it's a water-cooled engine, what we're doing is we're taking as the engine heats up, we're going to divert some of the hot water, the coolant that's going through the engine, and bring it through the dash. And it goes through a heater core, and therefore now you have a chamber of hot air inside the car, and then we blow it, and we blow it around.
Could you know if you were blindfolded that you were in an expensive car or not just by the way it rides? The only reason I'm asking this is because I was in a Mercedes when I was a kid, which was considered an expensive car. I don't know if it still is. But it was like, oh my gosh, this is so smooth compared to the Chevy that my dad owns.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell. When you say expensive, there's some really expensive cars that
run rough.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And so, but as far as I could pretty much tell by if I was blindfolded, if I was in a American, Asian, or European car.
Oh, really?
Like that.
Like what? What tells you?
Just the way things feel.
The accent of the driver.
if I could actually drive it blindfolded, I could really. I'm very sensitive. I have very.
And you can feel an Asian car. What does it feel like?
It depends. A 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder. I could. By the way it accelerates. By the way it sounds. I probably would struggle more today because they've come such a long way. But years ago, it would be a lot easier for me.
We had Bike Week is this week, and we had motorcycle trivia. I think it was, I don't know what it was, I guess last Friday or whatever. And one motorcycle, I guess they don't make too many 6-cylinder motorcycle engines, huh?
No. They don't make too many 6-cylinder motorcycle engines.
But there was one. There was one. That was the unique thing about this motorcycle. I guess it just didn't work out.
I've seen small block Chevrolet V8 motors in motorcycles.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
What is the engine that they use in an airboat? Is that a?
Well, they use all kinds of different engines. A lot of
looks like a car engine.
Well, some of them are. Some of them are car engines. Some of them used to use the old 472 Cadillac motors. That was a real popular airboat engine. Now there are a lot of guys are using the crate motors, the 502 Chevrolet crate motors, and they're using those in airboats. But I personally feel like some of the best airboat motors were aircraft.
Oh, really?
Motors.
Oh, really?
The Lycomings and the Continentals and stuff like that.
Do you know, at the Strawberry Festival, there was an engine on display, and maybe Robin remembers the name of it, but it said it requires no oil. Have you heard of an engine that requires no oil?
No.
I know she took a picture of it.
Does it require no oil because it's sitting on display? It only requires oil if you're running the engine.
Oh, God.
So it doesn't produce any heat and friction?
Engine that requires no fuel, it says here. Okay, that's not the one I'm looking for. Engine that requires no fuel. Okay, that's another thing. That'd be weird. Want me to look that up? Let's see. Engine that requires no oil. Engine running no oil. Engine, yeah, car talk. My future son-in-law took his 2007 Nissan to the dealer for an oil change. Hold on, let me read this to you. My future son-in-law took his 2007 Nissan 350Z to the dealer for an oil change. When he got home after driving about 50 miles, it was making a strange noise. He checked the oil, and there was none on the dipstick. I had him started in the... Well, whatever. That's a different story.
Yeah, that required oil. They just didn't put none in it. And trust me, it will make all kinds of weird noises when there's no oil in there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what came up. Anyway. So let's see, what is happening this weekend? Nothing. Did you have a busy weekend last weekend? You didn't do anything.
No, I did do something. I had actually a couple meetings I had to go to this last weekend, but this weekend coming up, I'm not doing anything. I've determined that I'm not going to do anything. Me and my wife, we're going to go away for the weekend.
Oh, that sounds good.
And we're just going to relax, and then I'm sure we'll have stuff to do.
What was that?
Sound like a siren.
Sure did. Well, Matt, what's your phone number?
My phone number is 352-690-1993.
The bottom line of Matt's appearance here is, on my end anyway, is to let you know that I trust Matt, and I want you to trust me in telling you to trust him. He'll fix your car. He'll sell you a good one if the car you have can't be fixed, like mine did. We'll be right back.
Information Station 1370 WOCA.
Ocala Auto Repair.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Candidates making final pushes as Republican voters in 4 states choose delegates.